think coffee is what you need at 5 p.m.
I'm frazzled.
Is this recording?
Yeah.
Oh. Caleb.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Haley.
And I'm having...
I'm having a seltzer, a hard seltzer. It's 5 p.m. A drink of sorts with my ex.
Coffee with my ex. A latte. A pumpkin spice latte. I should wind down.
Yeah. Caleb, you're giving me anxiety, and I have a lot to do.
I really hope you can take some of mine.
We did not say this on the podcast, but we wanted to say hello to all of our cafe owners, starting with Elise Pickle and Chris Samos. and King 1 T Sub 3 Apollo 8. Thank you so much for all of your support. We love you, and yes.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coffee with Max podcast. And we are here today after a long week of launching our activewear line, Active Booty. We talked about it all in the last podcast, and we quite literally have not, I don't think, sat down in 7 days.
No, we have not.
I think today is the pinnacle of my tornado spiral.
It's the peak.
It is the peak. But there is no time to stop when November 3rd is rolling right around the corner.
Yeah, so by the time that they're seeing this, Election Day is technically the next day.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good, though. Good timing.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so yesterday I asked you guys on the Instagram, which if you're not following our Instagram, make sure you're following with us.
You guys are really engaged on
yeah,
Instagram.
every time I do polls or like questions or ask for guys' opinions or whatever, you guys are so down to share, and I think that's great, and I'm very grateful that you guys are happy to be a part of the conversation. So today we're going to talk about the election.
Yes.
Woo, yay, more election stuff.
This is where we're going to lose a lot of people. We're going to see the drop-off.
I'm going to try to be as calm as possible. Like, I want to be able to voice my opinion because, like, this is our podcast and, like, that's kind of the point. But I also want to be able to, like, share some facts and just what you guys have said in a calm way, because not everyone's going to agree with you. But when I read something that literally makes me feel like I want to cry, it's hard to not be angry, but I'm going to try my best.
That's commendable.
So today I sat down and I tried to answer as many questions as you guys had, because you guys had a lot of questions, and I think especially for our non-American viewers, a lot of them just want to understand how the U.S. election works, because it is way more complicated than most, and it also affects the globe. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to answer some of those questions, and then just like some questions that people in the U.S. have. So yeah, anything to say about that, Caleb? Are you just
I'm just very, very excited. I'm listening. I feel like today's going to be a learning experience for me because I'm invested in politics, and I've voted since I was 18. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because were like the opposite. You like really weren't as into voting.
I voted when I was 18.
But you did. But now
yeah,
I feel
let's
like
talk about that.
I learn a lot from you.
Yeah, it is interesting because I voted for Obama when I was 18. Mm-hmm. That was the 2012 election, and then in 2016 I didn't vote. The Hillary Trump. You
didn't.
I didn't. You know that.
I keep like blocking that out.
Same.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's like because I used to I've always like cared, and I think that it came to a point for me that I was like, obviously politics are very overwhelming. When you feel like everyone around you knows more than you. And so it makes you kind of like be like, no, like it's too much. Everyone sucks, like whatever. And like, I get that, but I think that knowledge is power in that sense. And so the more that you learn, the more comfortable you are with the decisions you make. So whenever Trump got elected in 2016, I was like, never again. Mm-hmm. It was like... And I mean, at that point, that was really only the second time I was able to vote. But like, I was like, never again.
Yeah. I think a lot of that happened for a lot of people because, I mean, especially among young people, voter turnout is incredible.
Yeah.
And so many people for the first time are being like, no, I have to use my voice. I have to pay attention. So I think, honestly, the Trump presidency was necessary to wake people up.
And realize like it matters, which is kind of like, in a sense, since he did lose the popular vote, it is still kind of like, wait, what? But we'll get into that later. But but yeah, I think it woke a lot of people up to like, oh, like politics like affects people's everyday lives. And I think that for a long time I was blind to the fact of that. Mm-hmm. Of like, oh no, like things pretty much stay the same, but like I was just like young and like didn't know what I was talking about. Yeah. And that's just the truth. Mm-hmm. But I think it's what's so cool now is I feel like kids like who are my age then, like they're so like informed and like, and obviously with like social media it's kind of hard to not be informed. Yeah. And that's completely different from when we were like 18. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see like Gen Z just being so mobilized in their activism and stuff like that.
I think one thing that I've noticed is since, the internet and information is a lot more accessible, I have noticed like the headline or like clickbaity things on both sides just be even more out of control. And I think that divides people too. Lying. Because it's just like the argument like liberals want to spend all money on climate, or like Republicans want everyone to shoot people. It's just like there are these like headlines and no one takes nuance into account. And I feel like with both sides, they both play into that. And so everyone is even angry at each other because no one... I think that obviously I'm liberal, and I think that a lot of conservative politics I'm very, very strongly disagree with. But the conservatives that are not crazy, and again, there's crazy liberals and crazy conservatives, I don't think everyone has bad intentions. I think there are just so many nuances within both sides that they genuinely just disagree on certain policies. But I think everything is so played up and headlines are so outlandish that it makes you hate the other party. Yeah. Right off the bat. So hopefully in this podcast we can dive into the nuances and really talk about issues without making it so polarizing or it's so ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Can I switch to Vizzy?
Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, Caleb's gonna pop this. Okay, so first and foremost, I kind of wanted to explain like the U.S. election like year situation, like when we have our elections and stuff like that, just for like our non-American viewers or someone in America who just like really isn't like up to date on that kind of stuff. So, and if I'm like literally, I'm gonna read this because I'm not trying to like miss anything, and I spent a lot of time on this.
She wrote an essay that is at college level.
Writing essays is my passion.
We have a pie chart.
Okay, so every 4 years we have a new presidential election in which all political parties have usually multiple people running within that party. And to narrow it down before actual election day, we hold the primaries to nominate one person per political party. And then on November 3rd of every 4 years, we hold a presidential election. There are several things on the ballot, such as different propositions, as well as local and state races.
Jeez. Oh, good job. That's concise.
So that is election day overview, 100%, 1,000% condensed. Okay, and so my next thing that I feel like is kind of taboo, especially for this year with like COVID and stuff like that, is in-person voting versus mail-in voting. Yeah. So what I sent in my ballot like weeks ago. So I just am curious what you're doing.
Cameron and I are going back and forth. He really wants to go in person because he doesn't think it's going to be counted. And while I understand and respect that, I think that waiting in line for 8 hours, especially with how busy we've been, is just like not the move. Yeah. And I really want to, if he goes in person, I'll probably go in person. But like, fingers crossed, we can convince him to do ballot box. Yeah. But I'm more concerned about like sitting down and going through all the props and stuff because I really want to make an informed decision on that. And also, I was talking to someone who about the props, and I was like, I'm confused on two. Prop 22 with the cars and Uber, and I'm confused on the dialysis. And she's like, listen, I know that this person's like a Google employee, and they're like, I feel like since they're spending so much money on Prop 22, like it has to be bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just had to
They're
vote no.
spending a lot of money on Prop 23 as well.
What's that?
The dialysis.
Oh, so I asked her about the dialysis too, and she goes, actually, my friend is on dialysis. So I was like, what's the tea with this? And she's like, I voted no on this because she's like, they're actually closing things down if they require doctors to come, because she goes, like, a lot of poor people, like especially low income people, don't have the money for dialysis, so like they can't have all the bells and whistles. And so if you're requiring them to spend more on like putting doctors there, then less clinics will be open and less people will have access. So that person was like, I actually voted no on that. But I'm like, my mind is blown because I assume like that's just propaganda.
Yeah.
And it's so hard
It's
to know
so hard,
what the
especially
truth
the propositions
is.
because, well, on the ballot, I feel like it explains it pretty concisely in the sense of like, to me, it just sounds like it's more of it'll raise our taxes situation because who gives a fuck about healthcare type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know. And again, what if that person was just like buying into the propaganda? Like, how do you know the truth?
Yeah. You just have to make your own decision, which is like, but it's also good to talk with people. I think that because we've talked to a few like Uber and Lyft drivers who really are not even like.
We were on the way back, and I was like,
We were
I had
sloshed,
drank
too.
a lot, and I was like, sir, what
Excuse
do
me?
you think about Prop 22? Do you want benefits?
He didn't.
And he didn't know.
He didn't know. We also talked about how the economy worked and raising the minimum wage.
And then by the time we had dropped you off, we were
Yeah.
on our way back home, and I had realized by that point he was probably voting for Trump, but
Yeah.
he was the undecided voter.
I felt like the only undecided voter in the country. I was like, where are all these undecided voters? And God
found
showed
one.
me one.
Yes, he did. And he was like, well, I don't understand, like, what I said. I was talking about how Trump is, like, really divisive, especially for, like, the LGBT community and, especially for black people and all these other, like, social circles. And he was like, why? Like, please explain that to me. And I was like, well, I'm gay. And so, and I went on, and he's like, you're gay. And
Where was he from? He was from Armenia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh no, like I just outed myself. Like I forget that that's still kind of like risky. And like when you're drunk in the back of an Uber, it's like the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a compromising position. So Cameron literally like grabbed my leg and squeezed it. And I was like, yeah, we are gay.
With a capital G, bitch. Scared.
What were we talking about?
How are we voting?
How are we voting? Hopefully ballot box.
And also know that if you do the mail-in voting, obviously by the time you see this, it's like too late to mail it, but you can drop it off at a ballot box location on the day you're seeing this on a Monday, and then tomorrow on Tuesday, which like I think is just like a no-brainer. I'm gonna do it forever. Okay, so I asked everyone if they voted already so far, and 68% of you guys have, which
Wow.
is really, really cool.
Wow.
And then I asked everyone if they're voting by mail or in person. In a lot of states, there's already early voting happening, so a lot of people can vote in person right now. But 47% of you guys said mail, and 53% said in person.
Wow.
Which I thought was pretty cool. It's split. But there are 4 states that by ballot is the default. By ballot?
By mallet? Wait, which states?
Oregon and like one of the 4 that are square. I'm like, see the map in my mind. 2 of the 4 that are square.
Is that a Dakota?
No. It's like a
Wyoming?
Utah situation. One of those. Don't quote me on that.
It's a rectangle.
It's a square.
Utah?
Just like, you know how there's like those 4 states that are all squares and like they're all the same.
Just anything in the Mountain Standard Time Zone.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So here's another. I'm going to read you a passage from my essay. How can you vote? Most states allow mail-in ballots, but every state has physical polling locations. Every state has different laws about voting, which makes everything very confusing, especially when they change the states before the election. Red states historically make voting a little bit more difficult, such as no early voting, no absentee ballots, or few polling locations. Fewer polling locations lead to long lines, sometimes upwards of 10 hours. This is especially true for denser populated areas or areas with a larger amount of people of color. Every voter has to register, in quotations, but it is register. And some states have a deadline for this, while many bluer states allow you to register the same day. States that don't have early voting or allow mail-in ballots without providing a solid excuse really expect... This is where I got a little sassy. Really expect Americans to take an entire Tuesday off work to participate in our democracy? Why do people have to work on election day? Or why is it on a Tuesday, not the weekend? Why do you register to vote when so many countries have automatic registration or none at all? This is called voter suppression.
It baffles me, and the only reason it would make sense is because I feel like low-income people are more likely to vote blue, so red states are not going to want to make it easy to vote.
Right.
But, like, that's really messed up.
Or, like, working class people who, like...
Yeah, but like, aren't... That's what's so fascinating is because, like, Republicans play to, like, working class people, but, like, they don't do anything for working class people. Or it's just like they make it harder on them while convincing them they're making it easier on them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a genuine... It's very confusing.
It is confusing, but it's so, like, nuanced. It's very, like, you have to, like, look into
I'm sure
it to
there are
really
more layers
understand.
to it.
There's so many layers to it, and there's, like, all gerrymandering and, like, stuff like that, which is, like, very complicated thing for me to, like, understand. It's, like, a puzzle. I don't know. And, it's just, like, yeah, it's very nuanced, and there's a lot of layers, I would say.
Yeah.
Speaking of voter suppression, who can/can't vote? If you're a convicted felon, you may have a hard time getting back your right to vote. It varies by state, but most convicted felons will never get their right to vote back due to strict laws or even just the fees that come with trying to restore their voting rights. Only in D.C., Maine, and Vermont will felons will never lose the right to vote. Many people with severe mental health disabilities can't vote. Poll workers could even turn someone away who seems incompetent, which is illegal, but it happens. Under federal law, a person cannot be barred from voting because of incompetence except in very limited circumstances, which is abused. As a rule, if a person is competent enough to go to the polls and vote or complete an absentee ballot, federal law requires that person to be allowed to vote. Immigrants that have gone through the naturalization process have the right to vote. Naturalization means that they have their green card or they've been a permanent resident for at least 5 years and are able to read, write, and speak English. And of course, you pay a $725 fee on top of your green card fees if you have one.
So if you become a citizen, then you have to pay extra to vote?
You can only vote as an immigrant if you have been here for 5 years and have undergone the naturalization process, which that costs $725, or if you have your green card. So, like, you could be here for less than 5 years and have your green card, which has all these other fees.
And you can vote if you have your green card.
You can.
Okay.
You can. And you've undergone the naturalization process, which is interesting to me because I feel like there's some Americans that can't read, write, or speak English.
It just, like,
So, I don't really know what that... And what confuses me is just, like, we don't have, like, a national language. I don't think it's right to make everyone who comes in this country learn English, like... in order to...
Like, imagine moving to a new country and then being like, you can't vote here until you learn our language. And I'm like,
yeah,
but, like, what? I live here.
Yeah, but I live here.
That is so messed up. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn 2 languages.
Yeah, exactly. Dead ass. Okay, so back to the polls. I asked everyone if they consider themselves more conservative or liberal. Obviously, Caleb and I consider ourselves more liberal. Extremely liberal. And
Haley's borderline radical.
And 19% of you guys said you're conservative.
19%?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And honestly, I appreciate that you guys still listen to us.
Yeah, same. And then 81% of you guys said liberal. And then I asked everyone if this is their first year voting, and 19% of them said yes, and 81% said no.
Interesting. Okay.
So almost 20% of people, this is their first year voting.
Wow.
It's a lot of people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. Okay. And another question that I asked is, as an American, do you feel like our system works for us or against us?
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's So, I mean, right, me? Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
I think it's both. I think there are some instances where it works great for me, and then I think there are other instances where
you.
it doesn't. Yeah, I think everyone's experience is everyone has a different life under our current system.
Yeah. 88% said against us. So 12 said for us.
I mean, again, it's like the 1% that probably has it better. So the 12%.
Yeah.
Like,
the 12%, they're having a great time. Okay.
yeah, that's the thing is like if the country is working for you right now, like you're having a good time.
You're having a good time.
You're having a really good time.
Like it's like the worst time and you're still having a good time. You're living in a different America than we are.
Yeah.
Okay, I also asked everyone if they felt like I like have a stutter today.
You're passionate.
I'm just like, I'm hot.
You have a sweatshirt.
I know, but I'm wearing a crop top and I don't want to talk about it. I asked everyone if they felt like the debates were helpful.
Ah, that was my question.
Yeah, it was.
What'd they say?
They said no.
It's really just theater.
It
and
is.
a reason to like hang out with your friends and be like,
Or just to like ammunition to take down another opponent. Like
Yeah.
they say, like slip up and say something stupid, or like don't say it. Like there's so many times I want to Joe Biden, like you could say this, like you could do this, like you could be doing more.
literally when the last debate, when Trump like he said something about like, well, 500 kids are still locked up, and Trump said good. Like if that that doesn't even matter. Like no one even cares. Like literally at this point, nothing is off the table.
Yeah, you can literally say whatever
Trump
you want.
could literally say, die all gays.
Well, he said I could kill someone in the middle of Times Square and people would still love me.
And he is right.
And he is right.
And he is right.
I mean, he is right about that.
It's just fascinating. I'm just thinking of sleepy Joe Biden. What was Kamala? Did she have one?
Oh, I don't know, but he loves to call her a condescending woman.
Condescending woman.
With a capital. I love how he like capitalizes like sleepy Joe Biden.
Sleepy Joe Biden.
Okay. I asked everyone if they've switched political parties during this election year. What is going on? What did Allison order for you guys?
She orders a gift? I don't know. She feels so bad about living here for a month. I don't know, but it better be sugarfish.
Oh my God, you are so crazy. Okay, can you focus? 11% of people said that yes, they did switch political parties.
11%?
11%, which is a lot.
Intense. I mean, switching political parties is not something people do.
No, that's not like, no. This is like,
That's
have
not
a party for
American.
yourself. I mean, we don't know which way we're talking about. But 89% of y'all said no. Okay, so I want to go back to my essay.
I honestly would expect, I would love to know, like, for the Obama election. I feel like that was also super polarizing because it really challenged people's, like, prejudices, so.
Absolutely. Okay, so I asked people who weren't in America, like, what questions they had about U.S. elections, what they're thinking, like, what's going on in their mind, because I can only imagine what's going on in their mind. And whenever I asked everyone, people who were literally, like, when I asked them, like, what they thought about the election, not one person outside this country in the responses said that they liked Trump.
Oh, interesting.
They said that they're scared for Americans. How'd you get here? American dream? I don't think so. Just like things like that.
Yeah.
But I found super interesting, but I'm not at all surprised.
It's funny to hear Americans talk about other countries.
Yeah.
As if, like, we are the goal. And
Yeah.
it's funny to hear how other countries talk about us.
I know. We look like, a lot of people
We
were
look
talking
silly.
about how, like, it seems like a reality show.
Yeah.
Feels like one.
Yeah. It's also funny that, like, data and, like, data isn't really used here. Like, it's interesting that, like, it's interesting. I feel like that we live on a planet and there are other countries besides just America.
Yeah.
And so, like, when other countries are also, like, super developed and, like, have, like, great economies or things that work, like, you think that, like, if everyone is doing something that's working, that you would follow suit.
Yeah.
But it's like we're on our own little island and we still are, like healthcare and, like, guns and even like our metric system. It's just like
transportation, education.
It's just like if every other developed country is doing this thing and it's working, why are we acting as if like it's not working?
Yeah.
Baffling to me. If you talk to any Canadian, they're going to be like, hi, we're right above you. And it's things are better than you have it. It's not perfect, but it's better than you have it.
What the hell? Like, why are you, please?
And yet you'll still have everyone be like, nope, the lines are so long. And then you talk to a Canadian, they're like, I mean, yeah, sometimes we have to wait a little bit, but like maybe in extreme situations, like it's much better.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to me.
It's so interesting too, because I feel like a lot of people in the responses were talking about how like dramatic U.S. elections are, and like how the people in Canada especially were like, our elections are so boring, like in comparison,
because we have like the literal Antichrist versus sleepy Joe Biden. So it's like,
so what do people outside of the U.S. think about our election? American politics have a major effect on the world. We have the most expensive military by far. It affects our alliances, it affects the global market, and most importantly, the climate. There are countries that benefit from people like Trump, such as countries with authoritarian leadership. Trump leaves them alone. They make deals such as with oil, and it's great. They love each other and obviously favored by other anti-immigration countries. So that was one of the like overarching themes of like why it matters to like other countries don't have the luxury of not knowing what's going on. Mm-hmm. Like we do. We don't pay attention to elections in any other country.
Right.
Like name a leader of one country.
The Queen. Queen Elizabeth.
I think that's just so interesting because it affects so much of like everyone else, but we feel like no one else like affects us at all.
Right.
Like in what we do.
It's very funny. Because we are the most powerful country.
Yeah, we have the biggest military.
Yeah. So it's like
yeah.
Are we talking about that later, the military?
No, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Well, it's just confusing to me because I know some people are like very adamant about like we need more military spend. I don't know if they're saying more. Our military spending is
3 times more than the next highest.
No, it's disgusting. It's actually disgusting. And I say that as someone with military family. Obviously, my military family does not believe in the same politics that I do. But I support the military. I think the military is very necessary because that's reality. But I don't understand how we can justify the budget in comparison to like basic healthcare, transportation, education.
Right. So like if you see like the breakdown of like, you know, taxpayer spending, and like you have a lot of people saying like, I don't want my taxes, too much of my taxes to go into Planned Parenthood, or too much of my taxes go into Medicaid, or like whatever. And I'm like, you do realize that the amount that is like proportional to like all those things combined doesn't even come close to how much money is spent.
Your taxes are going to the military.
Your taxes are going to the military.
And it's just like, and this is what I'm talking about. This is the headline where it's like, liberals want to defund the military, and then I'll get family members sending me articles like, I hope you're okay in this world when everyone's shooting us up. And it's like nuance. Mm-hmm. No one's saying that we don't want the military to be funded. It's just like they are excessively funded, and we need to fund other things like in schools and education and health care.
Yeah.
God forbid a hospital exists. Like you maybe get like maybe one less gun or something so a hospital can be built. Like calm down.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, 100%. And I think it's just, I mean, that's why America runs the planet. Not because we're the best, not because we're the most advanced. It's because we have the biggest military. Like, our budget for the military is bigger than, like, twice as big as, like, China. You know, like, China is China. China is huge.
China.
So,
I think that there is, like, I understand, because I'm sure some of our conservative listeners are going, well, exactly, we're the most powerful because of this military, and you don't want to lose that power. I get that argument, but I think we can still be the most powerful without being, like...
How is it fair to the American people to be like, you know what, we care more about keeping everyone out of this country than caring about the people that are inside this country?
Ooh, damn, that's good.
So, like, if we can just, like, take a little from that and, you know, like, help our citizens.
Right. Like, we
like, just be healthy at the very least. I don't think that's too much to ask.
No.
Because, like, what is a country that's unhealthy, uneducated, and poor?
Because if everyone is so like, oh my God, we can't raise our taxes anymore, we can't afford this, then we have to take money from somewhere else.
Reallocate your funds and mix it up a little bit.
All about distribution. And I think everyone should be responsible enough to say, like, we can take funds from certain places and not destroy that. Like, the military is not underfunded. Healthcare is underfunded.
Education is underfunded.
Right. So it's like, just like, use your brain instead of just like being so gullible by like headlines, because that's what's destroying the country, is you not understanding the nuance of situations. Like, be responsible.
And, like, being like, oh, like, I want to defund the police. Oh, I want to defund the military, whatever. Doesn't mean, like, you hate America. I think, if anything, it means, like, you care about America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you want to help everyone. It's just like, any one of you guys would look up online a pie chart of, like, how our taxes are divvied up.
That's crazy.
It is alarming, especially when you think about, like, I know I said this before, but, like, education and, like, how we're literally, like, teaching kids who are our future for the economy. Like, you want to say you care about the economy. I think that's one of, like, a big no to be like, you know, no, I'm not gonna worry about the education. I'm not gonna worry about keeping them healthy. They're just like, hope for the best.
Yeah.
But, like, we got the military.
I don't get it. I also think that with like the headline type things, anytime you see something that, like, the name of something, like what's it called? Black Lives Matter, or defund the police, or Green New Deal, or all these, like,
so scary to, like,
things,
any conservative ever.
These names are designed, and, like, I know there are conservative examples as well, but these names are designed obviously to get your attention, but, like, just please do your research with these headline things, because, like, the throwing around of the headlines in literal terms, or, like, the names of things in literal terms, is what causes confusion and chaos.
100%. Just, like, staying informed.
Like Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Look it up. Planned Parenthood is not an abortion factory. It is not a place where they go to take apart babies. Like, yes, some people get abortions there. Yes, it is my belief that it is not my right to decide what a woman does with her body. I think that she's more than capable of deciding when her pregnancy should end, and I'm sure that's a big decision, and I'm not going to assume that I know how she feels about it, or that she can make a better decision than I can.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, Planned Parenthood is not just for abortions. It's how people get access to a preventative
birth
health
control, any kind
STD
of, like, pap
treatment.
smear, STD, like, it's insane.
If you want to keep people safe and keep the pregnancy rate low, then you need people like Planned Parenthood who are providing the information on how to keep people from getting pregnant in the first place.
Yeah.
So instead of worrying about one thing they do that you might not agree with, like, maybe, what if they did abortions in hospitals? Are you going to defund every hospital?
Right.
No. Like, you need those things. So just before you take all the funding away, or you're like, oh, Planned Parenthood just does abortions, like, just look into it, because everyone just wants your attention for a headline, and you're going to end up hurting millions of people who need that access to healthcare.
Absolutely. It's like, and it disproportionately affects people of color.
Of course.
Because we're Planned Parenthoods. They're in, like, poor communities. That's where they need to be. So another question that I got asked from someone who doesn't live in America is, why are politicians allowed to accept donations? Apparently in their country, they're not allowed to, or there's a cap. And I wanted to preface this with U.S.
Kicked a bag.
The U.S. has the most expensive elections in the world, 2020 breaking the record at $11 billion. Most countries have a cap on spending. We have a long election period, 496 days, which gives plenty of time to spend all this money. Our elections are longer than pretty much every other country. Congress has tried to make laws capping donations to elections, and time again it doesn't stick, because many say it violates our First Amendment rights to freedom of speech. And that's why it gets overturned every single time. After the Watergate scandal, that's when, like, the last time they tried to, like, overturn or tried to make, like, a cap on election donations, and then someone was like, it violates First Amendment rights, and you know people in their First Amendment rights. So that's a very short answer to a very long, complicated like thing. And I would recommend everyone who hasn't yet to watch. I mean, especially if like you live in America. There's a on Netflix. There's a Vox series, like the Explained series on whose vote counts, and they go into this, and it's really interesting. Anything to add to that?
No, I actually have a question about what we were just talking about. So places like Planned Parenthood, do other countries, are they still fighting on this issue?
That's a good question.
Is the pro-choice, pro-life, is that debate happening everywhere else?
That's a good question. Because I think it's probably not as big of an issue in a lot of countries such as like Denmark, Sweden, or whatever. So I don't know. Something I'd have to look into. Okay, so another question that I received is if from Americans and non-Americans alike, what the fuck is the Electoral College? And let me tell you. Under the Electoral College system, each state is assigned a certain number of votes. There are a total of 538 electoral votes, and the number of votes for each state receives is proportion to its size. The bigger the state's population, the more votes it gets. Usually, in an election, the Electoral College will match the popular vote, but prior to the 2016 election, there were only 4 times in U.S. history where a candidate won the presidency despite losing the popular vote. So it's not common, but it happens, and it's stupid. So, and in order to abolish the Electoral College, it requires 2/3 approval in both the House of Congress, and both houses of Congress, plus approval by 38 states.
Can you explain what the purpose of it is?
Yes, I will. The reason the Electoral College was created initially, like founding fathers created the Electoral College, was to prevent uneducated and uninformed voters from determining the president. So it's left to educated electors to decide.
It did the opposite.
Okay. And another reason was to not give more populated states more power. So the problem with this is that, number one, it's not that problem of an uneducated, uninformed voter doesn't exist anymore. We have internet, we don't have to send ravens to talk about the election. I don't know what they did. But they were like, no one really knows what's going on, so we're gonna elect these people to speak on these people's behalf. But the problem with that now is that everyone has their own
everyone access to media.
Everyone has too many opinions now. Yeah. So that reasoning is not needed. It's outdated. But another thing to do with to not give more populated states more power, and something that I learned and didn't really understand, because for me, I'm land doesn't vote, right? So if you have a state with way less people, your vote shouldn't weigh as much as other states.
Yeah. Because
there's not as many people that it's affecting.
But if the Electoral College is representative of population, then why not just go with the popular vote?
I don't know.
That's what's going on.
So this is from, I'm going to read this. This is straight. Is it? Yeah, this is straight from the website. I'll have all of my sites. What's it fucking called?
Sources.
My sources. I'm melting before your eyes. It's so hot in here. I'm going to have all my sources linked down below. Anyway, this is straight from the site. The Electoral College ensures that all parts of the country are involved in selecting the President of the United States. If the election depended solely on the popular vote, then candidates could limit campaigning to heavily populated areas or specific regions. To win the election, presidential candidates need electoral votes from multiple regions, and therefore they build campaign platforms with a national focus, meaning that the winner will actually be serving the needs of the entire country. Without the Electoral College, groups such as Iowa farmers and Ohio factory workers would be ignored in favor of pandering to metropolitan areas with higher population densities, leaving rural areas and small towns marginalized. Yeah, but the Electoral College gives too much power to swing states and allows presidential elections to be decided by a handful of states. Because of the Electoral College, presidential candidates only need to pay attention to a limited number of states that can swing one way or the other. And that's why it's so confusing, because you thought you were solving one problem, but you created another.
Yeah.
So no, the Electoral College doesn't make any sense. That's why no one knows about it. That's why no one knows its true purpose, because it doesn't serve one.
So if the electoral college is abolished, is it that every small town in middle America is going to be, their vote won't count? Like, I'm confused. Like, I understand that people still need protection no matter what, but
yeah, their vote would still count. You can talk in circles all day. It doesn't make any sense.
I just they're saying we basically need even more power because we know that there are more people who disagree with us.
Yeah.
That sounds like cheating.
The Electoral College is a mess. I really...
Imagine if, the Electoral College favored liberals, it would be gone in a second. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine if California benefited from the Electoral College?
Oh, my God. See? Oh, my God. It's so wild. Yeah. Okay, there's another thing that I wanted to touch on in terms of political views. And it's something that I've heard a lot of people say, and I'm going to say the term, and I know it's going to trigger you. Socially liberal and fiscally conservative.
No!
What do you think whenever you hear that?
When I hear that, I hear you are you're a good person, and you really want to do the right thing. You just are really uninformed about how everything works. And I don't blame the person, because I think they are trying, but it's hard being someone from a marginalized group that is affected by the fiscal policies, because you can vote for gay marriage or be open to that all you want, but if gay people or specifically trans people don't have access to healthcare funding, and schools aren't providing education about diverse groups of people, then you're still hurting me.
Yes.
So I appreciate that you think that gay people are okay, but put your money where your mouth is.
So, yes, this is what I wrote. In order to be socially liberal, supporting programs such as Planned Parenthood, universal health care, criminal justice reform, and any program that actually helps people costs money, taxpayer money. So saying you don't care about women, disabled people... So saying you care about women, disabled people, people of color, LGBTQIA, but not enough to deal with their problems doesn't really make any sense. You cannot socially progress if there's no funding to socially progress.
Right.
It's literally put your money where your mouth is. You can't be that's a problem. Not your problem.
They're I think that they should be able to have an equal life. I just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's just a cop-out, and it's a way to get a pass. But I think that a lot of people genuinely don't understand that. Mm-hmm. We've had talks, and some of our close friends say that. Yeah. And it's just no. That doesn't work, because you can maybe be fiscally conservative with... I think people always it's always taxes and welfare, I feel are the top two, and they forget that the Conservative Party also takes away funding from every marginalized group ever. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Period.
If you do not have in your family a white man, you're gonna be hurt by the Conservative Party. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think conservative women are always married with a husband, and because they benefit from the privilege afforded to their husbands. And so they do not understand that without him privilege,
her life would be a lot different.
Right. Yes. So that's what's just baffling to me, because it's I feel with conservative politics, it requires there to be a white man involved.
My other question to you is, how do you feel about the fact that we are kind of stuck in this two-party system?
I think it's really silly, and I think it's very divisive. But I also understand that I feel we've kind of found just two different kind of roads that we want to go down, and two different ways that we view running the country. And I'm sure there are a lot more. I think it would just be so much more beneficial to know what one person believes in, regardless of party. Don't even tell me the party. Just tell me, what does this person believe in? Mm-hmm. That would make me feel, and I think everyone, be a lot more rational. Yeah. But one, I don't think that's good for the media, because they need that to fuel the fire. But also, when you're in a whole system I said the House of Republicans.
The House of Cards. That's what I thought you had to say.
The Senate and the House, it's you need people who are like-minded to help work on things and to push things through. So I feel like it's only natural that there is this separation.
Yeah.
And I feel like there if there were any more than two, it might get more confusing or hard to pass things, because when you have so many groups fighting, like what can get done? It's like Monopoly. It's like the more people you're playing with, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what the answer is, but I think
I have the answer.
Well, tell me.
Ranked choice voting.
What's that?
Okay, so ranked choice voting allows voters to rank candidates by preference, meaning they can submit ballots that not only list their first choice candidate for a position, but also their second, third, and so on. So say their first choice was a third-party candidate, they would not fear that their vote would not be wasted because their second choice could be a major party candidate. If their first choice didn't reach a certain threshold of votes, the second choice would then be counted.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant.
I was like, yeah, that's my idea.
Yeah, because it's like, I really want to vote. I want to vote for Bernie.
Right.
But like I can't.
Right.
But like I want to.
Right.
So if I could vote for Sleepy Joe Biden second.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that
There's I think it's Maine who's doing it this year. It's like the only, I think New York may be doing it. They voted, I think it was like 73% of them said that they wanted it, but I don't know if it's going to be in effect this year. But it definitely looks like that's like, especially I would say in like more liberal states is going to be kind of the future of that.
I hope so, because you have so many people from like the middle ground of the Libertarian Party, the Green Party, whoever, that are like, no, I'm voting for my candidate, because if I don't, then I'm giving into the two-party system. Mm-hmm. And so I think the ranked choice voting is the easy way to be like, okay, well, now everyone can do it. So
yeah.
A lot less fighting.
100%. So I asked everyone what their most important issues were. And I made a pie chart.
I wish we could do this by age, because I think that would be fascinating.
It would be, but this took almost an hour and a half.
Not to invalidate your work.
So overwhelmingly, I'm going to go through all the topics. If it had less than like 5 votes, I was like, no. So we have race, healthcare, climate change, women's reproductive rights, human rights and equality, education funding, economy, pandemic, anti-corruption / honesty, immigration, and then literally Trump. That's their issue. So the biggest majority of people, their most important issue was human rights / equality.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And some people said multiple things in one, and I counted all of them because I think they're all important, to them, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was number 1. Number 2 was healthcare. Number 3 was women's reproductive rights. Number 4 was climate change. But they're all important. Mm-hmm. They're all pretty close. And then number 5 was race. And then all the rest are kind of the same.
Okay.
Which I'm really surprised that the pandemic wasn't more.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's this is just how we live now. So I thought that was a really cool breakdown. Obviously, we have a lot more liberal viewers than conservative. But, and a lot of those conservative people did voice their issues. They were just less than 5. So, sorry about that. And
so I feel like all these issues are more everyone's fighting for fighting to give more rights, and then so then are the conservatives' opinions just they're more just fighting to keep rights from I'm genuinely confused.
Okay, I think I got a lot of messages from a lot of our conservative viewers about anti-abortion.
Okay.
And I got a lot of conservative views, or a lot of conservative issues focused on more military spending.
Okay. I feel like I can, while I disagree, I can entertain the pro-life debate or the military even. It's just what I don't understand is I don't understand how climate change is a political issue. Mm-hmm. And there are certain issues, again, with the pandemic, that I don't understand how we've politicized them. And I think that's what baffles me.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed that climate's not more up there.
Yeah.
I think that, and I think I've shared this before, but I went to a very, very important executive Google conference.
That scarred him for life.
And the scientists there, and that are, I swear to you, I'm in the room with like literally the top CEOs of every company that you care about, and they are learning from a top scientist, and he goes, we have 5 to 7 years before we are actually too late, and there is no point in trying anymore. Like, we have to give up. The planet is actually dying, and we have 7 years to fix all the damage we've done. And the fact that it's political and it's still being like, do you believe in climate change? I don't understand it. And it makes me, I'm furious.
Yeah.
I am furious that science doesn't matter to people.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know, I can't even get into it. I just, like, it's really upsetting to me. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm just sad because, like, we're actually, like, our kids are not going to have a place to grow up, and it's our fault. And
yeah, you want to talk about you don't want to wear a mask.
You don't like abortion, but you're literally going to make your child grow up in a world where they can't breathe.
Yeah.
So what do you really care about?
Controlling women. If you don't want an abortion, don't have one. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that. I'm sorry if it wasn't, like, as concise, but it's a heavy topic. And that was us trying to have a discussion with you guys, and thank you guys for taking part.
Yes, we appreciate it.
And I hope that everyone gets out there and they go exercise their right to vote. It's not a privilege, it's a right. And yeah. And post selfies with their sticker.
Yeah.
So, what is your recommendation for this week?
Just to, no matter what
No,
happens.
your recommendation.
Oh. I was just going to recommend them to stay sane.
Oh.
I just, like...
Sounded like an intention.
Whatever... I recommend that whatever side wins, that, like, we find a way to
Exist.
React and exist appropriately and responsibly. Just, like, let's not, like, burn down our country no matter what happens. Because, like, I think there are going to be riots no matter what, and I'm really scared of that.
Yeah, especially living in LA.
Yeah.
My recommendation is to... if you're gonna vote in person, bring snacks. Intention?
My intention for the week. My intention for the week is to accept the things I cannot change and
put that on a shirt.
Have the wisdom to know the difference. Or wait. That God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, the wisdom to know the difference.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
I'm gonna steal that.
That is the serenity prayer.
That's all I can. I feel like I've just been waiting for this moment, and I'm so anxious.
Yeah.
I just feel like so scared. But yeah, I just gotta take it as it comes. And hopefully next time you see me, I will be okay. Oof. But I can't promise anything.
We will see. We will see. We will see, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe a few days after.
Yeah.
So hold your breath and lock your doors.
And
pray. Because I think Jesus is on our side.
And have your registered gun under your pillow.
That's right. That's absolutely right. If you have a registered gun, then you better, baby, grab it. Put it on your pillow. Well, I'm not against that. Nope.
No.
You protect yourself.
Coffee.
Coffee with my ex.